Hello, my name is John, and today we're in the cockpit of the AJS-37 Viggen again. In this video, we're going to take a look at the RB-15F again, and I wanted to cover it a bit more deeper and use a bit more of the advanced functions. And the task of our mission today is to engage a couple of ships that are out on the sea. However, we cannot directly attack them from the sea because there is a SAM site covering it, or covering those ships. So let's go into the mission editor and have a look. So here in the mission editor, we are taking a look at our current target and our current mission, what we're trying to achieve. And now the intel on this area is not very accurate, but we know of a big group of ships moving in here, as well as a smaller number of ships. So somewhere in here the big group of ships is positioned, and we're trying to take out the biggest group. It should be 4 or 5 freighter ships we're looking for, and there are a couple of smaller individual freighter ships as well. So we don't currently have any accurate position information available. However, we know that we must engage this area here. The problem we have is that down here is a SAM site. And reports tell us that it's a S300 SAM site. So it has quite a large range and it's very dangerous. So we cannot directly approach the area and have a scout flight or do anything like that. But we must rely on our pre-stored waypoints. So I already set up a Viggen flight from here. It's an anti-ship equipped Viggen with 2 RB-15s. And we're going to fly over here. From here on we will start a low altitude approach into the valley. And these mountains here should provide adequate cover for the SAM, or cover from the SAM site. And here at our waypoint 2, which is our target waypoint M2 later on, we will try to fire off 2 RB-15s that try to kill our target inside this area. Now, we can already make some preparations and set up the first 3 BX points we need for this, because here we will want to use them. And we're going to start here, and we want to start with the BX point 6 right here. And now the BX point 6, as you know probably from the previous video, is the altitude where the missile will descend from the launch altitude to the low altitude flight. And this means if we release this missile, or the missiles here at 1,500 meters above ground, they will fly until here at 1,500 meters above ground, and then they will perform a descent and go to low altitude flight. And this should give us the perfect condition we need, and they hopefully don't get engaged by the SAM site. Now the next waypoint we need is the BX7 waypoint, so let me just set that. And the waypoints here are in the mark points, which you can set for player controlled aircraft, by the way. Now the BX7 point is the point where we want to turn, because we obviously want the missile to fly outwards straight and a straight line out here through the valley, and then here we want to turn it towards the target. Even if the target would be here, the missile would turn here, so we wouldn't get the missile impacting the mountains here if we went for the shortest route. Now we cannot know the BX8 point, unfortunately, because obviously we don't have the accurate intel on that, but it is confirmed that we will get that during the flight. Someone is going to scout out those ships, so we're going to get that information during the flight, and we will be able to input it into our navigation computer later on. So we're going to skip BX8 and we're going to place BX9 up here. If the missiles wouldn't find any target, they would go up here and get destroyed. Now the BX9 point is quite finicky. If you don't have set that far enough from the BX8 point, we can actually move it a bit further, so we make sure that the ships are not that close. If you have that too close to the BX8 point, you cannot launch the missiles. They will just not want to depart the rail. What you can do then, it's all indicated by the red altitude warning light illuminating before launch. You can just move that point further away, and that will usually fix that. But yeah, this is all the pre-flight planning we can do for this mission right here. Let's head back into the cockpit and see if we get the BX8 coordinates or the target coordinates later on. Okay, back in the cockpit. Usually the first thing you want to do is to make sure that those waypoints we have set are correctly arrived in our data system here on our computer here. So we go to the active position, and we're going to select the first BX waypoint, BX number 6, which is just a bit to our right here and about 60 kilometers away, which seems about right. BX7 is just a bit further away and also the same direction, which is to be expected. BX-8 is not set, so it's 400 kilometers away here on the display and somewhere in that direction. That's fine, that's also to be expected. And then the BX-9 waypoint is about 100 kilometers away and also in that direction, which sounds about right. So now, the next thing we want to do is to set our B2 waypoint as target waypoint as usual. I will do that. And now we want to input the coordinates we just received for the BX-8 waypoint. So let me zoom in a bit. And important here is that you first enter the longitude coordinates and then the latitude coordinates. It's a bit different than in normal aircraft, but that's just the way how it goes, I guess. And now let's enter the coordinates, which are 41 degrees, 29 minutes and 07 seconds east, and 41 degrees, 45 minutes and 11 seconds north. And now you can, once you have entered both, you can see them blinking up here, and now you can assign them to a waypoint. Either by clicking any of the waypoint buttons here, but as we want to assign them to a BX waypoint, we're going to press BX and then 8, and now they have been entered. If you go to the output mode and open up the BX-8 waypoint, you can see that it's now in that direction and about 70 kilometers away, which is fine. And now the last thing we want to do on our navigation computer here is to set the missile code for attack. And in this case I'm using the multi-area or the medium area with the multi-targets and the multi-mode N. So it will engage the 3 closest targets to the BX-8 waypoint, which is for the group we have here is, I guess, one of the better options to use. So we're going to input 80, 3 zeros, and then a 1, which is the preset. And we're going to enter that as well by pressing the LSSQ key here. We're going to the output mode again, and going to the active position again. Now let's select the B1 waypoint. And as we're getting closer to our valley, let's set it up for attack as well right now. So we're going to the attack mode over here, INF. And we're going to the attack mode over here. And here we want to make sure we're in the series mode and in the values position. That's okay. And now the last thing we can do is to set the QFE, sorry. And we can just set it to the QNH, which is usually displayed over here on the standby altimeter. If you do an airborne start, because the target is at sea level, so QFE and QNH for the target will be the same number, which is 1112 hectopascals here. Now let me disconnect the autopilot here and start our descent, as the B1 waypoint is just down there, and the valley we want to follow is going off here to the right, as we have seen in the mission editor. Now once we get closer to our M2 waypoint, which you can actually select right now, we want to put the weapon safety off, and we want to fly at about medium altitude so that the missile has enough ground clearance once we fire it, but we don't want to fly too high to not be engaged by the SAM. And I will put the weapon safety off now, and we will just follow down this valley, and once we can see down the river the missile should follow, we're just going to hold down the weapon release trigger and get that missile hopefully to target. I guess this altitude is about right. It's about 500 meters above sea level, or about 500 meters, yeah, above sea level actually. And the RB-15 can be fired up to 2000 meters above sea level, so that is just fine. And the mountains would be so small we could even fire them over the mountains, but for this video I decided to do a valley attack like this. Okay, we're going to keep this altitude. This should be fine. Should give us plenty of room in the valley to actually get the missiles out. Let's put in some speed so we limit our exposure time here to the SAM side. Let's go a bit further down as well. Sounds about good here, 400 meters above ground. And let's look down the valley, and there we go. Both weapons have been released. And the beeping you just heard is the SAM side pinging us, but does not have any line of sight right now, so this is fine. And let's switch over to the missiles and see how they are going and doing in the flight. And here we are in flight, tracking one or following one of the 2 missiles. And now we have the small island ahead of us. Above that somewhere we should see a descent. And at the bottom right you can actually see the SAM side that is making us do this whole procedure this way. Now the missile should start to descend any second now. Perfect. And now it will head straight ahead for a bit further until we reach the BX-7 waypoint we have set in the mission editor. And in the front left you can see the other missile appearing. And that one turned right now, and so will our missile, hopefully. Perfect. And now if you let me rotate the camera carefully, we can see the 4 target ships in the distance. As it turns out, it's 4 ships this flight. So yeah, let's hope that the missiles will both select them a different target each. The target selection is random, and with the multi-N mode there's a 1 in 3 chance that both missiles will hit the same target. But that's what is to be expected. You could also have used the multi-A mode, which would have selected more ships, but then we would have run into the problem that we might hit a target that is not one of those 4 ships. And let me switch the camera view quickly. Let's see how this looks from here. It should give us a good overview, and we can immediately see how many hits we get here. And yeah, I mean the targeting of these missiles, okay, the first one is coming in and it's making a small swerve. I'm not sure if you can see that in the video. It's very small, it's just a couple of pixels here. And we have 2 hits, very nice. And yeah, that is how the RB-15F is used in a bit of more advanced scenario, where you use the waypoints either set in the mission editor or on flight. This video hopefully showed you both ways on how setting waypoint works. And I mean, you can also use it the more easier way, like we did before, with just setting it on the radar screen. It's up to you. And yeah, hopefully you could learn something in this video. And thank you very much for watching, and fly safe.